The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Welcome to the Influencer's Edge. This is the place where you come to get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques to leapfrog over the pack in sales, persuasion, and influence. Be sure you visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, tune in, and enjoy today's episode. Welcome back to the Influencer's Edge. This is the show that disconnects the dots, colors outside the lines, and thinks outside the box. Just, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see me laughing a little bit more than usual because my fat cat is here. My fat cat, La Lele, wants attention. But my special guest today is Dr. Annie Cole. She's given me permission to call her Annie instead of Dr. Cole.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to dive a little bit into your bio, but I did warn her before the show that I may not even get through the bio, and this is a free-for-all.
Absolutely. I'm ready for it.
All right. So Dr. Annie Cole is a finance and business coach, published author. What's the name of your book?
101 Ways to Build Wealth.
Aha. Okay. Say it one more time.
101 Ways to Build Wealth, which I just liked that number, 101, so I had to go for it.
Okay. So you like the movie about Dalmatians.
Oh yeah, that was a favorite as a kid, for sure.
I had Dalmatians as a kid. Self-made millionaire, good for you, and founder of Money Essentials for Women. I like that. In her 20s, she was making $26,000. That's God, how working as you were a social worker, correct?
Yes, and I still, to this day, I have so much respect for the social workers. I've done a lot in education, the teachers, the people that work on 20 and $30,000 salaries. It's hard. It's hard living.
Well, I don't know where you live. I'm in San Diego, where it's as pricey as
Oh.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a small Oregon town at the time when I had that salary, so at least I could push by, but I can't even imagine being in a big city.
No, it's crazy. I'm just grateful I don't have kids. But then again, who would be crazy enough or self-sabotaging enough to want to replicate with me? Anyway, I warned you. By her 30s, she had landed a VP role, vice president. Can you talk about? Oh, is it hush hush? What company, or do we want to? What company?
No, totally open with that. So I worked for an ed tech startup company. Actually, I was hired and I was hire number 5 or 8. So Modern Classrooms Project, they're still an incredible company that I love to this day, based out of Washington, D.C., 2 D.C. teachers that were dealing with students who were chronically absent, really low grades, and they created this instructional model that helps reach every student no matter where they're at in the learning process, basically replicating the teacher through instructional technology. So I got to be their VP of research and go out across the country, visit schools, see how this model was actually impacting people and crunch the numbers for them.
Can you imagine had you had AI back then, what you could have done?
I know it's just crazy what's available now. And I know that there's the lovers of AI, the haters of AI, the people that are afraid, but for the education space, it's doing some really cool things for students.
In fact, this is the AI Paul. The real Paul is actually on a date with Scarlett Johansson.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm on her yacht. And an investment portfolio worth over $1 million. Well, here in San Diego, that's not even a starter home. That's they have
Right?
like for a 600 square foot box, you're looking at 1 million, 1,750,000. It's crazy. Was
Mm-hmm.
retirement in her 40s, which you haven't reached. You're not even in your 40s. That's crazy. You
Nope.
now coach women on how to reach their money goals. Good for you. I mean that through personal finance, career, and business coaching. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever, I think I've seen, have you advertised on Instagram or any of those platforms about doing this?
I have, yeah. I do a bunch of different ways to get in front of people. I have done some advertising, yeah.
I think I saw you through that. I know I saw you through that. I've seen your average, your marketing's really good. That if you don't test and measure, there's no point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. Do you create your own marketing or do you have someone who does it?
I have done it all from scratch by myself to date. I will admit I'm on the verge of hiring someone to help me out because it takes so much time. But yeah, to date, I built my own website, do all my own marketing. Yep.
Who gave you permission as a child that you could be this successful? I ask you that question.
Ooh.
I ask you that question because we were told as kids that we were smart enough to do anything. And if we didn't, if there was no way, if fa- no one had found the path, we should be the ones to blaze the trail. So someone gave us good permission.
Yeah.
So did you have a role model who was like this, or did someone explicitly say, "You're really smart, Annie. You can do anything"?
I was really blessed. Lots of people, honestly. So both parents, my mom definitely has told me over and over again, why not you as kind of a catchphrase
Oh,
for any of us. Why not you? Like go out and do what you want. My dad has told me strive for failure ever since I was a kid. And then I also was the kid in school that got put in all the special programs and was always kind of doted on. So I got really lucky. I had a ton of people that believed in me.
do you think success like yours is possible without that kind of luck? Hard question. I mean it.
I I actually think so because I think there are a few different paths to success. My background's in psychology also. My doctorate's in educational neuroscience. And so I'm fascinated by how you can have one experience and your neighbor can have the same experience and you both interpret it completely differently. So
Mhm.
I think someone could either accidentally, let's say you're an entrepreneur, you stumble on a really good idea and you just happen to light a fire and people get excited about it, that could happen and you could be successful. You could tap into the right person that believes in you and they don't ever tell you, but they believe in you and like make you a connection so you get in the door somewhere. So I think there's a lot of ways, but having people that believe in you is definitely one of the easier ways, I think.
Yeah, and also I think it's not necessary, but it can make it a lot easier if you have a good partner. And so not necessarily in business, but a good partner in life. My niece, who's the most successful person I know, I asked her off the air because she's been on my podcast, but I've asked her in person too, could you be as successful as you are without your husband? She, no way. And all the
Yeah.
most, not because the husband did the work. Well, I don't want to get into it, but yeah, yeah. See, I ask you a different kind of question.
I mean, honestly, you're onto something. I married my husband. We've been together 8 years now, and he was an entrepreneur long before me. He actually out of after school went and started I forget which one was first, but has had laundromat, dry cleaning businesses, launched his own business. So if I wasn't married to him, I would definitely have not had the courage to do some of the things that I'm doing now. So it's huge. Partnership is huge.
Yep. See? All right. You teach experimental marketing. So
Hmm.
what isn't every bit of marketing you do in a sense an experiment because you really don't know the outcome. You don't know.
Yeah,
And
it is.
and to have discernment, you have to have data of some kind. And yet, when you take a step, you really don't know. You don't.
Yeah. I
So,
think, yeah.
what's the difference between having an experiment, just making an experiment, and doing experimental marketing?
So experimental marketing is intentional. So rather than being reactive or trying a bunch of things and either not measuring the data or not being thoughtful about it, experimental marketing is I'm setting up a hypothesis, more like a scientific experiment. I'm actually setting either a goal or an outcome I think I'll reach. And then at the end, I'm going to measure, did I get close to that? Was I way off? I also think the only thing that's really a complete opposite of experimental marketing is someone who is told you can only do X, you only can do YouTube, you only can do LinkedIn, and they just believe they have to use that one thing, and then they may or may not have success with it, so they feel really trapped. And that's why I love experimental marketing because it's what if I try five things with five different hypotheses and see what works for me?
Yeah, and a lot of people, one of the things I think is wrong with the country, let alone entrepreneurship, is people don't respect the scientific method. They don't respect it. They don't know anything about it. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are against it. They think this is satanic because you're teaching people to think for themselves. Do you ever encounter
Yeah.
pushback from your clients like, well, I don't know how to think about things. I'm not a scientist, and what's a hypothesis? And can I just trust my gut? We're taught as entrepreneurs, trust your gut, trust your gut, trust your gut,
Yeah.
which I think is a formula for failure and stupidity.
Yeah. The more common thing I hear is not being against the data. It's either people aren't looking at the data because it's very time consuming and they don't know how to actually make sense of it. Or what's the most common is just tell me what to do. I don't want to take the time to experiment. I want something fast. I need results now. But I can't tell you, depending on your product, your personality, the time you have to commit, you could be successful in three different marketing strategies, but I don't know which one is going to be amazing for you yet until we test it.
Bet people don't like hearing. I think the number one sign of an adult, mature intellect is to not only be accepting of, but to get excited by the words, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I love that. I think that when I get to work with people that think like that, it makes me so excited because if you are starting with I don't know, your options are unlimited. If you're starting with I have to make such
Pause,
and such work.
pause, pause. You just got gold. Say that again. If you're starting with, I don't know, your options are unlimited. Say that with me. If you're starting
Yeah.
with,
With
I
I
don't
don't know,
know,
your options are unlimited.
limited. Who was it? Was it Voltaire or someone else who said, no, Ben Franklin, if we begin with certainties, we will end with error. But if we begin with uncertainties, we will find the truth. I don't know. Something like,
Mm.
but wow, you must get, here's where your training, I think, as a psychologist or a social worker must come into play. I have to believe that some of those skill sets are brought forward into your dealing with clients who have a fear response that I don't know. Is that the case? Do you think you could
Hmm.
do the work you're doing if you didn't have that skill set?
Yeah, it comes up all the time. It's really interesting. So whether I've been coaching people, either on their business with this experimental marketing or also on the financial side, and I can tell when someone is hesitant. And so it's constantly this, okay, I can perceive that there's a fear here. How much do I push? How much do I just give an open, safe space to allow people to talk? And, measuring it. That's what a good coach and a mentor really does is measuring when to go forward, when to lean back, how to bring a person forward in growth. And it's a very fine line with little tiny movements.
It's true. That's also in personal relationships. I mean,
Yeah,
if I'm going to manipulate someone to get my outcome, I have to know when to back up.
true.
I'm mess- I'm messing with you, Dr. Cole. I
But
like
it's
you.
true. I mean,
I like you.
I,
You're fun. You're
I
fun.
remember this in psychology class. Basically, the professor said you'll learn all of these things and then you get to decide if you're going to use them for good or evil. Because it's true. There's a bunch of things you can do to make your marketing efforts and your sales pages really manipulate someone into buying based on pain or fear or something else. So, yeah, we get to decide.
What does Cialdini say? Scarcity, urgency, social proof, reciprocity. Those are the big elements people use to make decisions.
Yep.
Fantastic. See, already this is a fascinating conversation. So you have over 14 different online marketing strategies. That's a lot. So let's just I didn't even know there were that many. Let's see, what ones do I know? YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I hope you don't teach people to use TikTok. I hate TikTok. Uh,
Not a huge fan. I have a TikTok, but to be honest, it's been sitting a little stale.
well, I was doing my banana sling, and it didn't work. No one wanted to see what I'm doing modeling. Man, this is wandering off into the weeds, Dr. Clark. So what are those platforms or 14 different online strat? Give me the top three.
A couple. So just to also give you a reframe, all of those social channels, YouTube, LinkedIn, I actually count those as one. So I count that as social media. So,
All right.
and obviously they're very, very different. But when it comes to marketing, here's just a couple examples. So social media, you have organic content. That's when you just post something and let the algorithm push it out to whoever. You have going on podcasts just like this. You're telling stories. You have links in the show notes. You're pitching something. PR is a huge one that I think more people are intimidated by, but PR just means,
Let's talk about
yeah. I think some people think, well, what does PR even mean? So to me, it is getting yourself or your business featured in public relations. So in relation to and in other major news, major media outlets. So that might be you have a full page story in Business Insider. You are talking to a news reporter on CNN. Wherever it is, that's really powerful, not only because it builds that social proof and credibility, but a lot of times they're doing backlinks from their online digital sources to your own website. So it's getting people on your website and it's increasing your own website's credibility with Google. So it's kind of like a triple powerhouse. I love PR.
well, I started my other career. It's an open secret here that my other identity is Ross Jeffries, the pickup women guru. Believe it or not. Uh, and I started in the 90s by doing talk shows, Donahue.
Okay.
And I knew if I provoked the producers, I could get on the show and provoke the audience. I got millions of dollars of free publicity just from a $450 ad. Brilliant,
Wow.
brilliant. Now, how do you determine, let me put it this way. I'm, I naturally love the camera and I love being interviewed. But if you have a client and you determine, you know what, this is going to give them the biggest reach, but they're really terrified of being on camera. Do you give them some tools to get better at that, or do you just eliminate it because they have that personal block?
That's such a good question. I actually was just talking with a client today about this, and this was the first conversation about setting up her experimental marketing plan. So at this point, I said, we're going to decide what works best for you, not only to your comfort level, because a lot of times people do not like being on camera. They don't like live interviews, especially introverts. So it's what do you want to do? And then also I'm really thoughtful about time commitment because some things take a very long amount of time, especially creating content and YouTube videos and editing. That stuff is intensive. So yeah, it's those two things. And then if I thought someone would get really good reach but was nervous, then I'd probably do some practicing. But the first conversation is usually let's go for what you want to go for, see if it works.
Cool beans, cool beans. Okay. 14 different. All right. Why I am going to look at your questions here, although I usually don't. Why is it important to not just test, but also measure outcomes? Well, I think we went through that because
Yeah,
it's not you're flying blind by the seat
exactly.
of your pants. I think, here's a question for you. Many entrepreneurs are extraordinarily creative people. They're visionaries. And so the idea of data is like, what? I can't do data. If I do data, my vision's gonna crumble. I don't want to do data.
Yeah.
I'm a visionary. Have you ever heard that
Yes.
brought up?
So
You deal with
I
that?
in the yeah, my previous role where I was the vice president, that was basically my job was to interpret the data and then bring it to the president and CEO in the interpreted way and say, here's the nuggets. And so if you are someone who doesn't like the data, find someone who is obsessively in love with the data because they can be your right-hand person and they will just come to you. So you don't have to sift through all of it. They're going to say, "Hey, we just found this one other organization that's sending us a ton of website traffic. Maybe we should set up an affiliate partnership with them." They'll weed through and pull out this stuff that's really cool. And the CEO doesn't always have the time to do that. So if you're a solopreneur, look at the data, get into it. But if you can pay for it or even just contract with someone for like an hour a week, an hour a month, they can pull out some nuggets for you.
Yeah, my operations manager does all of that for me. I would be dead without him.
Yeah.
I'd be I'd be totally all right. So what else should entrepreneurs keep in mind if they're ready to try out a new marketing strategy?
I think that people overcomplicate marketing and they also make it too technical instead of just being really human about it. So here's what I mean by this. I read this story in a book recently that I loved it, and it talked about experimental marketing, and it was about this guy who loved hiking. He created, or sorry, not hiking, mountain climbing. So he would go mountain climbing, and he found that as he was climbing, his sunglasses that were on his eyes like this weren't really working. So he wanted something that created like a bubble on the top to prevent the light from coming in.
Oh,
He creates, huh?
that's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, it's really brilliant. So he creates these glasses. He's trying to come up with his marketing strategy and he's like, how can I get this to more people? So he puts a couple different things on his list to experiment with. He tries Facebook groups, falls flat. Tries some ads, falls flat. He does some outreach to businesses, and Sierra Trading Company gets his email and says, we want to buy a bulk order, 5,000. So he gives up all of the other types of marketing and just starts working with Sierra Trading and a couple other companies and sells directly through them. They do all the work to get it to the customers. So it's just a great example of we need to remember just think about the human beings that are going to buy your products. Where are those people already? How can you get in front of them in a really human way? And then another book I just read this weekend talked about it's called Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution by the founder of Waze.
Read it.
Uh, love that one. So
Yeah,
he says,
Israeli. That's an Israeli company.
yeah,
Wait.
yep. He suggests you think about the human and where they are and how they might find you and come up with a minimum of 25 ways you could get in front of them before you even start marketing. And I just think that's brilliant because it doesn't actually matter how long your list is. It matters that you're thinking about your person. You're thinking about that customer, where they are, how they're going to experience you, and who are your advocates. Maybe you sell through businesses, maybe you sell through another person. There's just, yeah.
I'm also Annie, I'm also thinking of something that didn't come up, which is joint ventures and affiliates. I always
Yeah, that's one of them.
I always like to say if someone else has a gigantic tribe, hijack it. Use their
Hmm.
use their tribe. Get your
Yep.
trying to build a million people, a million person following. Use the endorsement of someone else who has a tribe of a million people.
Yeah, there's a really cool thing I just found called, there's two of them actually, borrowing other people's newsletter audiences. One is called Paved, Paved. I'm not sure if it's Paved or Paved. And then the other one is called refined.com. They both will allow you to pay to advertise on other people's newsletters.
Yeah, I think it's called uh, a drop list. You
Oh, a
drop,
drop list. Okay.
is that right? I don't know.
I haven't heard of that one, but these ones you can pay to,
No, that's
have
what
a
it's
promo.
called. That's what it's called.
Oh, that's what that process is called. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great way.
Wow. I'm gonna get a hold of that from you off the, well, we'll put it in the, no, we won't put it in the show notes. I don't want to distract from what you do, but I will have this transcribed so I can get that. Or
Awesome.
when we go off the air, you give it to me, I'll write it down. We are
Okay.
actually we're actually at pretty much the 30-minute mark. Believe
Okay.
we've
I know they go fast. I love these conversations.
well, conversations with me naturally are so I know my audience, speaking of conversations, Dr. Cole, Dr. Annie Cole, will want to stay in the conversation with you because you are so brilliant and charming. And where are you located, by the way?
I'm over on the West Coast, so Washington State.
Oh,
I'm down in Vancouver, so a couple hours from Seattle.
I am Vancouver. So then you know where, what is the name of that huge bookstore that goes for blocks?
Powell's.
Powell's Bookstore. Is that
I
still
just
there?
went to Powell's this weekend. Yeah, it is amazing.
Still
If you
there?
haven't been there, it's totally a tourist
I
spot.
haven't been there since the 90s.
Just as good.
I had a hypnosis mentor there who took me there. Amazing place. So, Dr. Cole, how do people stay in the conversation with you?
Best place is my website, money-essentials.com. So I do financial coaching there, but also all of the business resources that I share with folks are on that website. And then from there, I have a newsletter. I have all my socials linked there, and then tons of free content. I actually run events all the time, specifically for entrepreneurs. They're all free. I bring in experts and we just have 1 hour lunch and learn style workshops. So lots of good stuff there.
Oh, so those are live in-person events.
Live virtual events. So anyone, anywhere can log in. Totally
Hey,
free. We had one on
I'm a master of teaching hypnotic selling. You may want to have me at one of those live virtual events.
have you on then. We've had so many fun topics, so you'll have to be next.
Okay. All right. With that, we have reached the conclusion of another episode. We'll see you on the next episode of The Influencer's Edge. And remember, to the hostile alien armada hovering in your cloaked spaceships just outside of Earth's atmosphere, eat the Canadians first. We'll catch you on the next episode.
The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Thank you for tuning in to the Influencer's Edge, where you get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques so you can leapfrog over the pack in sales, influence, and persuasion. Remember to visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com to enjoy even more great episodes like this one. We look forward to seeing you again on the Influencer's Edge Show.